On your fly rod, you will find a line rating indication. That is the number given here. This is a 9-foot 5 line, which indicates that the rod is designed to cast a 5-weight fly line. Now, when you choose your fly line, you look at the label and you will find an indication of the line rating. That is the number in the middle of this indication. Now, WF stands for weight forward, 5 is the line rating, and F is the density of the line. F stands for floating. You will also find I for intermediate and S for sinking. So for a 5-weight rod, you should choose a 5-weight fly line. By choosing a fly line that matches the rating of your fly rod, you will in most cases find that it's a good match. That doesn't mean that you couldn't choose a 6-weight fly line for your 5-weight rod if you find that more comfortable. But generally, matching the line rating of the line and the rod will give you a very good match. So let's take a look on how to set up this 5-weight rod for trout fishing with matching backing, fly line, leader, and of course a reel. As you can see, this reel is empty now. The first thing that goes on is the backing. The backing is a very thin and strong line, which basically serves two purposes. It fills up the reel so that you make the most out of the reel's capacity, and should you be so lucky as to run into a very big fish, it also makes sure that if the fish takes a long run, that you have enough line to stay connected, so to speak. The next thing that goes on is the fly line, and finally we attach the leader to the fly line. This is a very thin and slippery type of backing, so-called gel spun. So I usually put on a couple of rounds of backing before I actually tie the knot like this. The knot itself is just the simple blood knot, which is also used for tying on flies to your leader. So what you do is you take the tag end and wrap it around the standing end of the backing 3, 4, 5 times, and then you make sort of a loop there, which you insert the tag end through, and then grab the tag end and pull it through the second loop that you just created. And now simply tighten up the knot and tighten it down hard to the spool. Finally, cut off the tag end with your scissors. The easiest way is if you can get someone to help to hold this spool, and usually an ordinary pencil fits right through the holes of these spools. We're ready to spool, and if you ask your helper to keep a little bit of tension on the spool, it's easier to get the backing on evenly. As you spool, you control the backing with a finger, like this. A little bit more tension, please, like that. That's approximately 50 meters of backing on the reel, and we're ready to attach the fly line to the backing. Find the end of the fly line, which is usually marked with a little marker that says this end to reel, which indicates that this is the end that you tie onto your backing. To make the Albright knot, start by forming a loop of the end of the fly line, which you hold between your index finger and thumb. Put the backing through the loop, like this, and hold both the loop and the backing between your index finger and thumb. Now with the tag end of the backing, make 5 or 6 turns around both the backing and the loop. 3, 4, 5, and then put the tag end of the backing through the loop once again. Now tighten the backing and then pull the loop of the fly line almost to the end. Tighten up the knot a little bit more. Tighten up the fly line loop a little bit more. Do this a couple of times because you want this fly line loop to be tight enough to hold the tag end of the backing. There we are, and then grab both lines tight and tighten down the loop securely. And there's your completed knot. When the knot is tight enough, you will actually find that it deforms the coating of the fly line. And then simply cut off the waist end of the fly line and the waist end of the backing. The fly line is now securely tied to the backing, and we're ready to roll on the fly line. To roll on the fly line, we do it the same way as we did with the backing. As you can see, I'm using my fingers again to distribute the fly line evenly over the width of the spool. That's the fly line on the reel, and we're now ready to attach the leader to the fly line. Now, most fly lines today are equipped with a factory-made loop, and actually most leaders also come with a pre-tied loop. So you simply attach the leader to the fly line with the loop-to-loop method. Now you simply take the fly line loop and put it through the leader loop. Find the tip of the leader and feed that through the fly line loop. And then pull the entire leader through the fly line loop. And then you simply pull the two loops tightly together. This is a very easy and very flexible connection between your fly line and your leader, because it allows you to change leaders quickly and easily without tying any knots. So we've attached backing and fly line and leader, and the final thing to do before we can tie on a fly is to tie on a tippet to the leader. There are a couple of different knots that you can use, typically either a blood knot or a surgeon's knot. I prefer the surgeon's knot myself because it's a very strong knot and it's very easy to tie. You take the leader and the tippet, place them side by side with an overlap of about 10 centimeters. And now with both the leader and the tippet, you simply tie an overhand knot once and pass it through once more. And you're ready to tighten up the knot. Now, before you tighten up the knot completely, it's important to make sure that the two loops are the same size. If they're not, the knot will be quite a lot weaker. So you simply tighten up. If the loops are unequal, just adjust them a little bit. Tighten, and before you tighten it completely, moisten the knot a little bit and then tighten up. That's it. Cut off the two tag ends. And you have a small, strong knot. Now that you've equipped your reel with backing, fly line and leader, you're ready to go out and practice your fly casting. Remember, when you're practicing and when you're fishing, always wear a pair of sunglasses for safety, to protect your eyes. For demonstration purposes in the movie, I'm not wearing sunglasses, but I do urge you to always wear a pair of glasses